welcome to this week's episode of Mystic and the Machine. Lots to fucking unpick this week. Crazy shit going on.
As always.
But Jake has been sick this week. He's got a bit of a cold, so he's going to be...
Apologies if I blow my nose or make gross, ill noises for the next hour.
He's been like a massive baby about it, though, this whole week.
Despite getting zero fuss and attention for it. How does that work?
You're resentful because I'm not acting like a total doting, nurse.
Yeah.
But it's literally just a cold. It's just a cold.
Oh.
I have it too. I'm fine. It's not that big of a deal.
It affects us all in different ways, doesn't it?
Every time you get sick, it's like the whole fucking world has to stop and fucking cater.
Yeah, just how it is.
It's crazy. But yeah, let's dive right in. This week, so much shit has happened in terms of sexual assault news. And
Jesus.
Hollywood
The sexual assault times has had a frenzy.
Yeah.
They
Hollywood scandals. Tea is being spilt. Obviously the P Diddy story has been developing for a while. I'm surprised it's gotten this far to the point.
It's been developing for 20 years.
Yeah. There's always been sort of whisperings around him, starting from his wife, who died mysteriously or whatever, and there's always been speculation that he killed her. And then also his relationship with Cassie was always sus. She sort of ran behind him for years.
When they also trying to rope him into recently the sort of easy killings and stuff as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of making him out like he's Suge Knight but walking around. Basically.
Yeah, basically.
But he's just as crazy and does maybe even more evil, and maybe not as more evil. It's just as evil.
Well, yeah, he's basically the Marquis de Diddy. If everything that's being said about him is true, there's
has he run someone over in a car?
He's like a Saad level.
Has he done that?
No, he's not run anyone over in a car, as far as we know.
Got him on that.
But there's also murders as well, alleged murders.
Was it that he was actually part of the injecting him with AIDS theory?
No.
Or was it that he was that was just what Suge Knight says?
That has nothing to do with P Diddy,
doesn't it?
No.
Well, that's a conspiracy about how Eazy died.
Was that P Diddy?
Was that somebody, i.e. the people responsible, i.e. Suge Knight and P Diddy, paid somebody to go past him in a club with a needle and inject him and pierce his skin with
that
HIV.
Sounds very
no, dude, and
crazy.
he died of fucking AIDS, dude. That's why he didn't die of a gang shooting or whatever. He died of AIDS.
Yeah, but it's more likely that he got AIDS from
it's possible
being
but
promiscuous.
It's also I think Suge Knight is the one that lent that one credence. He talked about it in an interview.
I don't think you should take anything that Suge Knight says seriously. But yeah,
there you go, J. George. The age thing was Suge. See.
Oh my God! Don't encourage him.
Also, saw someone on Twitter saying that Diddy was a Mossad agent, and I thought that was a joke. Oh boy, I was wrong.
Yeah.
So what, is he actually a Mossad agent?
Well, a year ago, I think when Kanye was doing his whole big media tour, he sort of indicated that Diddy was a Fed and all of this stuff. I don't know if he is or isn't, but I guess there's been
has
whisperings.
It been substantiated? Has there been?
Well, no, we don't know. There's a lot of it is whisperings, but a lot of the whisperings from the past have been confirmed by the documents that have been released through the court proceedings that are currently happening. And it's gotten serious now to the point where his house has been raided by.
So what's the general gist of his sexual crimes?
There's just so much that it's gonna take a while to get through, but.
That's okay.
The general gist is that
joint, don't worry.
The general gist is that he's being investigated currently for human trafficking. So that's what all the FBI.
Human trafficking.
Yeah.
Right. So not raping or doing underage.
Well, there's been a lot of accusations made in the people who have come forward to the courts. One of whom was Cassie. So a lot of the information.
Ex-wife.
Well, I don't think they were married, but she was sort of his...
there's partner or
paramour.
His long-time partner.
Yeah, his paramour of some sort. And basically, she, you know, obviously spilt a lot of tea in her court proceedings, got paid off. And I assumed that that was just going to sort of be that. I've always known that he was into some crazy, devious shit. And obviously, we saw the tip of the iceberg of that in Cassie's testimony. But then, after Cassie was paid off, so many people started to come out, you know, and a wave of speculation, including his relationships with young artists like Usher and Justin Bieber. Usher, who he had
How
legal.
old was Usher though? I don't
legal,
remember
Usher was
when
yeah.
he was like
Usher was
young,
15,
15,
and he was and I think he was, I think he was like 15 years
when
old.
he did his first album.
This is when he was up and coming.
Right. Before his album.
Yeah. And P Diddy was basically his legal guardian, which is kind of sus.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a thing that goes way back, not just
Has he ever elaborated about that?
Who? Usher. No, he's hinted in interviews that he was exposed to inappropriate stuff, but he's really standoffish about his time spent with P Diddy and doesn't really elaborate much on anything. But he has hinted in the past about, you know, nefarious goings on at P Diddy's parties, his famous parties.
Stroke the furry wall parties.
Yeah, the stroke the furry wall parties.
He really wasn't playing too much of a
character in Get Him from the Greek. Yeah, no,
right.
He was playing himself. And that's the thing, is he's
a fun version of himself that doesn't commit people trafficking and sex crimes.
Well, a far less crazy version, and his character was obviously pretty crazy, but it's
pretty fucking unhinged,
yeah.
Dude.
He knows that it's because he's known as that guy in Hollywood who throws the crazy parties and who's into drugs and like debauched sexual.
I think there are a few films like that.
Stuff.
Like even Russell Brand, I feel like at the time, he even self confesses that he plays a version of himself with a hat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it just like these Hollywood agents basically meet famous people at a party and then just like this should just be a movie, and that is literally how
quite
that
possibly,
film happened.
quite possibly. But back to the whole Diddy thing. So yeah, Usher obviously was a young ingenue. Justin Bieber, Meek Mills. So many people have now come under question in terms of their.
Was Meek Mill a kid when he was doing all that
No.
stuff as well?
So not all of them are kids. Some of them are adult males, including the preacher T.D. Jakes.
Oh yeah.
Who was described as a power bottom in I think it was Cassie's
Does that
testimony.
just mean he has a powerful bottom, or that like he? Like, how, I don't understand that.
How straight of you, how heterosexual of you to not know gay slang.
How does one be powerful from the bottom?
I actually don't know what a power bottom is or how it works. Should we Google it?
I'm very afraid to Google that.
Someone tell us in the chat what a power bottom is or whatever. But that apparently describes the activity that.
We're the first 10 minutes into the stream. Let's keep it PG. Let's try and describe what a power bottom was.
It's not a very PG episode.
To like a high school kid. Like, how would you describe it that way?
But yeah, so yeah, obviously other people are implicated in this, and now the case seems to have spiraled into a human trafficking investigation, which is currently underway. So it just seems, and I think P Diddy is fled.
That was the last headline I saw.
Yeah, he's fled.
You passed the pouch.
Yeah, he's fled on like a jet or something, because there's like all these jet tracking pages on Twitter that track celebrity jets. And apparently he's like fucked off to a territory that doesn't extradite, basically. And it's really interesting because Russell Simmons did the same thing.
He's gone to get sexual healing in Bali.
He did the same thing. He ran to Bali after a whole bunch of women came out and accused him of sexual assault as well.
So he went to all these like retreat spa places that then started to have BBC reports that also were like getting like gang groomed by fucking the men that were running them and all sorts of bad things as well, right?
Yeah.
Power bottom's kind of like a woman who likes being on top.
Does that make me a power bottom then?
but then you're not on the bottom, are you? Or you're on the top, so that makes you A top.
top.
No, like, I good attempt never knows best, but I feel like we're still missing a piece of the
another
puzzle here.
straight male attempting to figure out. But Diddy, the whole Diddy case is like exploding currently, and then as well as that, there's also this documentary that came out this week called Quiet on the Set, which goes into Nickelodeon and some of the unsavory things that went down there.
Yeah.
And that's obviously triggered a whole wave of speculation, particularly about Amanda Bynes, because she's obviously the one that obviously melted down the most publicly and
had like a nervous breakdown basically as a result of all of her treatment and what she went through at Nickelodeon, I guess.
Yeah. But it's very much sort of the same vein where it's like adults abusing power, kids whose parents are abusing them for fame and money.
I haven't seen the documentary, so is it very much like sort of like the Michael Jackson one where like loads of accusations are being levied but they're sort of too past any kind of sell by date or whatever, so you can't bring them to court?
Well, they talked about two specific people. One, I forget his name, but he's like a big executive at Nickelodeon, and he also worked with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he's known for working with child actors, but he was actually charged for pedophilia. Like
during the investigation of the documentary, basically.
No. Like this was a long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
He was the one who allegedly assaulted Drake Bell from Drake and Josh.
Right.
And basically he worked with Leonardo DiCaprio. He worked with a lot of child stars in that time. And when he was brought to court, a bunch of celebrities, Brian Peck, that's his name, Brian Peck. A lot of celebrities came forward to defend him.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrote letters of character for Brian Peck. And he did his time, but then he actually went directly back to working in kids' shows. He just wasn't like allowed to be on set. And then the other person that the show followed is Dan Schneider. And it doesn't make direct sexual accusations against Dan Schneider. It more talks about his conduct as a director.
Right.
And as a producer, and how abusive he was as like a boss, and how some of that crossed into sexual territory, but nothing that necessarily has been incriminating as of right now, sort of thing.
Is he the one that would like host the pool parties and then like take pictures of feet and stuff?
Yeah, and he was the one that was like uncomfortably close to Amanda Bynes.
So, I mean, if he's not the guilty one that's done any time.
Well, that's the thing.
Come on, dude.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It was disturbed. I also, off the back of watching that, I decided to finally read Jeanette McCurdy's "I'm Glad My Mother Died."
Oh yeah, you were like glued to that the other night, weren't you?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Really tragic shit, and it really got me thinking. Because one of the major themes in that was like parental exploitation, and the fact that a lot of these parents know that they're putting their kids in compromising situations, but they do it anyway because of the material benefits. And before, you had to go through Hollywood gatekeepers in order to be able to exploit your kid. Now you can just do it with your fucking phone.
Or they can do it themselves.
Yeah. You can just do it with your fucking phone. You can post your kid on TikTok. You can do whatever you want. And then another story this week, the girl who plays Honey Boo Boo. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, she doesn't play her. She is Honey Boo Boo. My bad. She's now 18 years old and recently found out that her mom, Mama June, had spent all of the money that she had been making over the years on drugs.
I'm sorry, but that definitely deserves a what's this fella? Imagine my shock.
Well, yeah.
Imagine my shock.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying is
she wasn't a great parent and she did an irresponsible thing.
But this is common. This is very common. This is incredibly common when it comes to like child stars, and some of them get famous, like the Leonardo DiCaprios of the world, the Tobey Maguires, the Drew Barrymores. Some of them get famous and are able to sustain that fame. So despite the fact they have greedy, graspy families, you don't really see the aftermath of that. But then you have some people who are not unable to sustain that fame and who fall out of the limelight and who basically have to face deep financial like insecurity because their parents have spent all of their money.
Yeah, but I would say that, Drew Barrymore, Corey Culkin, all these people, they did actually have like talent,
Yeah,
right?
true,
And they had
true.
there was something like in the I don't know, you want to break it down to like a Marxian thing of value, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
There is something there around like they genuinely had like a skill that they did have this horrible like
but even then the way you
environment
just
and surrounding
described
it, but they did genuinely have like a tremendous talent and skill.
true, but the way you just
And
described
Honey
it as
Boo Boo was literally just shown like a thing in a zoo.
yeah,
But the zoo is just on a camera now.
but the way you
instead
just
of a
described
circus or
it
something.
as a commodity is interesting because that's exactly how the parents who are putting their kids on TikTok are treating their children, like commodities. And a lot of those kids are going to grow up, realize they've worked their entire childhood and that they're not going to see the profits or benefits from it, and that their parents have exposed them to compromising situations simply for the benefit of fame. A lot of people in Hollywood talked about predatory shit a long time ago. I remember Elijah Wood, who's like the least problematic person ever. Elijah Wood is not the type of person to ever get embroiled in any sort of controversy. And even he came out a few years ago, I remember, and he said that Hollywood has a pedo problem.
Yeah, he didn't name any names.
He didn't name any names,
and he didn't elaborate any further. He just sort of made that comment.
But my ears pricked up because he's not the type of person to get involved in anything controversial. And he was also a child actor. So I'm, keen to hear what he has to say. And he said, yeah, there's a fucking problem with predators in Hollywood. And he said that thank God he had decent parents who looked out for him.
He's like a DJ and he runs like an indie music label now. It's fucking jokes, man. It's fucking really
good
cool.
for him. Good for him.
It's really
but it's an unnatural thing to do. And that's what I'm saying is a lot of these parents, they're fully aware of the detrimental impact on the kid in terms of them being constantly evaluated and sort of treated like a commodity. They're aware that those kids are, surrounded by predators in Hollywood, producers, all sorts of things. On the internet, on TikTok, there are so many cases of moms who specifically appeal to like pedos with their children because they want to get the revenue. Yeah, like...
I mean, Sid is talking Zoomer language that I just don't understand here, but he was saying, the D'Amelios and Addison Rae's Exploitation is just as sad and bleak. Do those names mean anything to you?
No. Okay. You have to elaborate. I have no idea.
I don't feel quite as old now.
I have no idea.
I don't feel quite as old now.
I don't know. It's insane to me that, like,
Well, it is very sad because, like, I remember, being maybe 11 or 12 years old when the School of Rock came out.
Yeah.
I wasn't a kid that had Sky, so I didn't, growing up, so I didn't have access to Nickelodeon most of the time, so I didn't watch all the shows that Jeanette McCurdy lady was actually mostly known for. I knew her as the quick-witted little girl in
iCarly.
No, not in iCarly, because I didn't have Nickelodeon. I couldn't watch that. But in School of Rock.
She wasn't in School of Rock.
Am I thinking of
Carly. Yeah, you're thinking of Carly.
It was the brown-haired one, dude. This whole time I thought it was the brown-haired one.
Jake didn't have Sky. My God. He didn't come from a family that had Sky.
This other one? I didn't even know who the fuck that
Sky
is.
is cable here in the UK. But I had cable, so I grew up on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. And I guess it kind of hit me.
She didn't break out. She didn't have a wider success. I don't know who the fuck she is. I couldn't recognize her if you showed a picture of her to me. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't have a fucking.
It doesn't surprise me. You shouldn't. If you knew who some tween fucking star was, you're not the demographic. Is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I grew up watching all of that stuff. So to see that, there are kids whose like childhood was like human sacrificed, so that I could have stuff to watch, to like enjoy in my childhood is kind of...
My point was anyway, right? iCarly, despite it being the wrong woman, the wrong girl, same thing fucking applies. My point was that, like, when I saw those kids in that film when I was like 12 years old or whatever, I was like, holy shit, that's fucking amazing that someone would be that fucking talented and they don't even they were maybe 13 or 14 or 15 or whatever, a little bit older than what they were portraying as, but not a whole bunch older. And it was really like, oh fuck, that's fucking amazing. What would it take to be one of those fucking kids? And then you hear all these fucking books that are coming about how they're getting molested and all this shit, and you're just like, brother, you don't worry about it. Just keep doing your Warhammers and fucking play a bit of bass and just chill the fuck out.
Not all that glitters is gold.
It's not worth it, man.
But you see, because obviously it kind of gives you insight into someone like Dan Schneider's mind, who's like this fat, tyrannical Baron Harkonnen type of person. But most of the shows he created for kids had like themes of fame in them. A lot of the shows that were on Disney Channel or iCarly or Nickelodeon had themes of fame within them, like Hannah Montana. She's a secretly famous girl. Or even the Amanda Show. She's a girl who has her own show that's like named after her. Or like even iCarly. iCarly's internet famous. That was why it was like the updated version of that, because she has like her own internet show where
not even updated. I feel like that was probably pretty kind of futuristic at that point. I don't feel like there was anybody that was really internet famous at the time period that
people were starting to get
Charlie Bit My Finger maybe at that point.
No, there were YouTube stars at that point for sure. But it was sort of like, making dreams come true in the same way that like Jim will fix it in that sense. And it's interesting how these predators use dreams and the aspiration for fame and attention and affirmation as a way of sort of luring our minds in as like kids who are impressionable and watching, and also the kids behind the scenes. It's like super creepy and like weird, and it really makes you think about your childhood in a different way and the sorts of things you were taught to like you were sort of being programmed to aspire for, to think were beautiful. But then when you look behind the curtain, it's like people being molested, like you said.
Yeah. Very grim. We've got a second punt at the power button. It is a receptive sexual partner who takes charge. Man, it's like no one has watched Always Sunny.
Oh, I get it. So okay. It's like
how can you be receptive if you take charge? That doesn't also
I get
you're
it.
giving orders to have things done to you.
This is why he's so easy to manipulate. This is why it's so easy to top him from the bottom.
We see who the power bottom is in the situation.
This is why he's easy. Is that
what's going on here?
Yeah, pretty much. But now I understand.
You understand that you're the power bottom.
Yeah, I get it. But apparently lots of people were power bottoming for Diddy as well, which obviously parallels this Nickelodeon like kerfuffle. And it's just grim and it's shocking and like.
Well, is it like that? Like, is it like that? Like these execs would sort of do horrible things to these children for them to then be put on shows and stuff? Because isn't that the kind of way that it sort of supposedly works with Diddy?
Well,
he has a label and he's a big producer and he's a guy and whatever, and so you sleep with Diddy and keep his secret or whatever, and he'll put you on and give you a record deal or give you access or in some fashion, right?
The pattern that I see, and this is just my own schizo pattern making, is that they tend to go for kids and people who are either already inculcated into the culture of Hollywood through nepotism, or who come from very poor, desperate backgrounds. And, from reading Jeanette McCurdy's autobiography, she was one of those kids who came from a poor, desperate background. And very quickly, these kids become the breadwinner for their whole family. It was the same thing. Usher had a stage mom, an ambitious stage mom, who sort of pushed him, stood beside him, legally signed him over to Diddy, legally signed custody of him over to Diddy, because she came from a poor background and she saw him as a meal ticket.
Wow.
And sort of pushed him into, and he had genuine talent and passion for what he was doing. But there's always an adult driving, that's the common motif, is there's always an adult with unfulfilled ambitions, frustrated dreams, pushing their child into Hollywood for material gains at the expense of their child's innocence and their child's childhood. Michael Jackson, same story. His father was allegedly like incredibly tyrannical and a bully because he wanted his children, at least one of them, to become a megastar and to put the family name on the map. And yeah, they tend to go to kids from, impoverished backgrounds. Those kids are then the breadwinner for their entire family. Macaulay Culkin is another notorious example of this. So there's all this pressure on them to work and to make money and to get more famous and to get more opportunities. And the people in charge are aware of that. They know the vulnerable situation that those young people are in. And if they're psychopathic, then they take advantage of them. And that's precisely what allegedly Diddy has done with a lot of the people who have looked to him for guidance and for, mentorship or whatever.
Well, you were saying there was some sort of like really schizo theory going around that they have engineered video AI stuff to come around just as all of this sort of sexual celebrity news is breaking, so that you kind of don't know
what's real,
what to trust and what not to trust anymore.
Yeah.
Which is obviously absolutely fucking unhinged and wild.
I don't think it's at the level yet where it can fool people to that degree, but we are in a stage where shit's kind of starting to blur. But it's tricking the vulnerable first. So for
it would be the kind of most Black American response to getting like caught doing depravity ever, though.
What?
Like, that shit's Sora, man. That's
Why is that specifically a Black American response?
I'm just like I'm not gay. That's Sora.
It was Sora that put the dick in my mouth. Oh my god. But yeah, that's also another element of the blackmail ring, is the fact that there's like a lot of like homophobia in like the Black community, and being gay is like the worst thing you could possibly be.
We've got Greg coming in here. I saw an interview with this producer guy who worked with Diddy, and he said Diddy would come up behind him while he was working and grab his ass and whisper in his ear that he was going to kill him.
Oh my god.
Nuts.
That's like, that's even worse than Suge Knight.
Hey,
like some of the shit that Diddy is being accused of is like worse than Suge Knight.
If I was literally, I can just like.
Would you rather be hit with a car, or would you rather have someone grab your ass?
I'm literally just trying to like picture the scene and how I would respond to that scene. It's like you're in a music.
Like, you want to grab my watch?
You're in a music studio. You're like laying up the session or whatever the fuck it is, just like
Yeah,
doing
that's
your
actually
thing.
your job.
And
so.
like you just stood at the desk, fucking doing your thing, and like the famous guy that you're doing the session for grabs your ass and fucking whispers that in your ear. I actually don't know how like. Obviously, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let me suck your dick, fucking P. Diddy. But it would be like, I don't know how scared I would actually be that he would kill me. I'd be more scared about all of that shit. Like all of the other shit would be completely out of my mind. Like, he just said he would fucking kill me. Like that's gonna be all that's on my mind. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's why he does it.
He stuns them with a threat.
So he like grabs you. Grabs your boot. He gives a nice big handful. He gets all the fucking feels he wants, and then just like, I'll kill you, motherfucker. So that you're
That's
like
crazy.
completely tripped out in your head, just like you're not even thinking about him molesting you. Like all the bits he's just grabbed, because you're just like, this motherfucker's gonna kill me.
Oh my god.
You're just like worried about it.
Oh my god. Well, speaking of
I think
the
we just
whole...
unpicked exactly why he says that. I think it's not how I would respond to it though. I still am not sure. I think I would be anyone just like grab me from behind like that. I've had that at gigs because I'm a man with long hair, so sometimes I apparently look like a woman from behind at a rock concert. So I've had my bum grabbed before unexpectedly, and you're just like, what the fuck? So I think it would be, that was probably.
Jake knows the pain of the female predicament.
I do. That's why I'm such a good ally. That's why I'm such a feminine.
Ew! I just got the ick.
That's why I'm such a good feminist ally.
Ew! Gross. Anyway, back to the whole Sora thing. We're at the point where we're not at the point where anyone who's plugged in or switched on enough is going to be fooled by it, but we're at the point where
no one's got access to it as well.
That's
why it'd be a really goofy excuse.
We're at the point where the vulnerable are becoming more and more susceptible to trickery. Like, for instance, on Facebook recently, there's been a bunch of scandals because, like, some opportunists have been making Facebook meme pages to appeal to boomers, and they've basically just been prompting the text to image generators with prompts that they felt would appeal to boomers, like Jesus, child in Africa, things like that.
Nice.
And it's just making the most
wholesome content.
Yeah, it's not wholesome though. It's making the most absurd, like fucking, like hallucinations, like spaghetti Jesus, and like kids in Africa building Jesus statues out of like found items and stuff. And like boomers are falling for it. They're liking it. They're like, you know, they're thinking it's real because they're not very savvy. Same thing with the Willy Wonka thing we covered a couple of weeks ago.
Willy the Unknown.
Willy the Unknown. Sorry. You know, a couple of vulnerable hobbits in...
Not Willy Wonka TM. Willy the Unknown.
Willy the
Okay.
Unknown. Sorry. Wrong brand. But a bunch of vulnerable hobbits in Scotland were tricked by a fake AI event. You know, so people don't know what's real anymore. Even with the whole Kate Middleton situation, now that she's come out and made a video, you know, letting the world know that she's like been battling cancer, there's still people saying that it's AI generated.
You know what? That's terrible. I refuse to even fucking believe that they're saying that.
I'm not even joking.
Because when they said that, I think we did. I would like to think that the conclusion of our episode, because we did an entire episode about the media talking about it and everything.
Yeah.
And I guess we were sort of, not that we contribute to anything. We got like, you know, a couple hundred views, but like.
I just think that it's interesting. I just think that it's interesting that these things are coming out.
I felt guilty, man. I felt guilty.
What?
When it was then revealed that like she's been dealing with that, and it was like, I know it was. I was hoping that
we didn't say anything.
I know what I'm saying. I'm
bad.
hoping our fucking conclusion was, oh, I'm sure it's something benign, and everyone's making crazy stories.
That's literally
about
what we said.
All right, I'm good. I'm glad.
That's literally what we said.
I couldn't remember what we said about it.
All
And then
we
I came
did.
to make
All
the
we
stream was like
did.
the headline was like, "Fucking Kate Middleton." I was like, "Shit, man! Like, what did we say? That was not nice."
No, all we did was run through the conspiracy theories that people were making up about it at the time.
Okay.
I told you specifically, don't go down a reality tunnel, don't get invested down a reality tunnel. And then I told my opinion, which is that it's the British royal family doing what they always do with their bad PR, not knowing how to deal with the expectations of social media. I turned out to be fucking right.
Yeah.
But there are still people saying that it's that it's Sora, that it's some, and I all I'm saying is that I think it's interesting that while all this tea is spilling and there's all this stuff getting exposed, that at the same time this reality bending technology is sort of cock teasing humanity, and I think people's reality testing is warped at the moment.
Well, I think that all the sort of things I've seen about Sora, the reasons why it can't be Sora are because you can't generate anything that's of a public figure in Sora. Yeah. So you could never generate anything of a celebrity.
But people are saying that, Buckingham Palace got their hands on like the technology.
Yeah, there's that. If there's great technology, of course the Queen or whoever the fuck, well, not the Queen anymore, the Queen, the King, or whoever the fuck can get their fucking hands on. It's like, what do you think this is? Like, this is like there's some fucking old people in England. Like, why the fuck would Sam Altman and all these cool like tech people in California give a single fuck about giving you revolutionary tech to hide some bullshit in the media? Like, fuck off. That's such a silly.
Well, that's
silly
the thing
argument.
Here's another element, another reality tunnel that's like split off, is people are saying that it's because the princes were implicated in the P Diddy scandal. Because Prince Harry was mentioned. Not that he was mentioned doing anything bad, but he was mentioned as being at Diddy's parties, and that was used as a selling point, quote unquote, to attract young women.
That the prince would be there. Yeah. And they might get to suck some princely cock.
Pretty much. So yeah, that's all. So people are saying that perhaps this is the sex ring. There's some sort of ring, quote unquote, and that this has wider implications, and this is sort of an Epstein style
so
web.
Andrew had Epstein and Harry had Diddy.
Pretty much.
Is that what's going on?
Pretty fucking much. But that's the thing. It's sort of like spiraled into this whole thing, and it does definitely implicate more than just Diddy. I'm interested to see how it develops and where it goes. I think it's interesting that they raided his house. If they fucking raided his house, it means they definitely have a case. So it's gotten to that point. And I do wonder if any of the so-called footage that's been hinted at and is going to emerge. And if any more people are going to come forward too, because there are lots of people like the whole Leonardo DiCaprio working with the Nickelodeon guy thing. It would be interesting to see if some child stars from the past come forward with their experiences.
Well, I do think I did see, because Drake Bell was interviewed in that documentary, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But then I think I did see a headline about Josh Peck coming out and talking about it as well.
Well, no, he initially allegedly ridiculed Jake Bell, but then came out and apologized and said, "Oh, I support the victims," yada yada.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. It's so bizarre.
I think I read that he had not invited Drake Bell to his wedding, but he had invited Dan Schneider to his wedding.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It sounds like there's all kinds of weird entangled drama going on there behind the scenes. Which is strange.
He's tried his best to sort of like navigate into regular films.
Yeah.
I think, like there's been a couple of things I've seen where he's not been bad at all.
He should just never look back, in my opinion.
Then he was like involved with all those cringe YouTube fucking prank dudes and stuff for a while as well.
Was he?
Yeah. And it's just like, what are you doing, man? You're a fucking adult. These are all like the new Nickelodeon kids that are doing.
But that's the thing.
They're running their own Nickelodeon with fucking, with Blackjack and Hookers, man. They don't give a shit.
But that's the thing it's like hard to transition from being a child star to being a proper actor. That was one of the things that Jeanette McCurdy wrote about in her book, because she was stuck playing a teenager until she was in her 20s. And also the fact that she's associated with Nickelodeon as a fucking network. It's hard to transition into like doing anything after that, really.
She didn't have the pipes to give it like a wrecking ball moment. Or
she tried to have a country
like
career during the same time when they were trying to launch Taylor Swift.
Oh, there you go. She got eaten.
She got eaten by Taylor. So yeah, and like
her name is a lot more country sounding
than Taylor Swift.
Jeanette McCurdy. Come on, dude. That is country all day. Yeah,
I think maybe, but she's a decent writer. I thought her memoir was quite raw and well written. And yeah, it really did definitely explore the wrenchingly difficult relationship between her and her mother, who was this like crazy, ambitious, climbing psychopath who tortured her for most of her childhood. But it's more complicated because you can't really think of your parent as evil when you're a child.
Yeah.
You have to think of them as almost godlike because your survival depends on them. So it's this like weird ambivalence where you love them, but at the same time they're hurting you. And she didn't care about acting. And that's the thing is, a lot of these actors on these kids shows, they think the material is corny. They don't really give a shit about it. They would rather be doing something else. A lot of them don't even care about acting. Like their parents are using them as like a meal ticket. And that same culture is now being perpetuated with the whole like child influencer thing, which is super dark in its own way and is like a lot of those same conventions ramped up.
It's terrible. I
can't imagine making your child the source of your income.
There was one that was like
fucking hell.
There was one recently that was like a combination of all the things that we've talked about tonight. Kind of, almost. Apart from all the weird sex trafficking stuff with P Diddy. But fucking that, there's a couple on 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way or something, where there was this young kid, Brandon, who went out to Thailand or the Philippines or, a country out there, and was with this girl, and then she kind of like faked having cancer and did like a GoFundMe on the internet for it and stuff, and raised like a few thousand on it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, just after she had a kid and stuff, and then was like making loads of social media content with her kid on YouTube about like just vlogging with her kid, basically trying to be like a family channel. Basically,
people are shameless about like, and I mean that's the whole thing. Like,
and I think for me, like moralistically, like I don't know, however the fuck you make your money, I guess it's up to you. It's between you and fucking God at the end of the day.
Well, no,
or your
'cause-
own conscience,
no,
right?
no, because
But like fucking doing social media, couldn't stand that at all. I feel like that's like a lazy, strivey sort of shit.
well, even then,
Posting your kid on social media,
yeah,
that's a doubly
doubly
fucking shit
evil
version
thing
of
to
that
do.
to do.
Deeply evil.
Lying about having mortal illnesses to scam people for money. Also, incredibly.
But the thing
fucking
is,
bad way
back
to
in the
try and
day,
make money.
back in the day, Hollywood was who attracted the shameless, the people who are willing to do anything for fame, and that was easily exploited. And then reality TV sort of attracted that domain of the shameless person, because it was the first time when people sort of started to get interested in the lives of normal people, or people who weren't like, you know, legacy media people. And then the internet took that to another level, especially with vlogging. These personalities came into the zeitgeist, you know, got lots of fame from that. And that has now attracted the shameless and people who are willing to do just about anything, including exploit their children, exploit themselves sexually, whatever it is to keep attention on them. Even if it means appealing to like the lowest, nastiest common denominator. And of course, if you have that energy of desperation, it's going to attract predators. It's what keeps the P Diddy's of the world in business. Is people who will sell their soul for and who will compromise themselves,
or their babies,
or their kids, for the proximity to status and wealth, which is the common motif I see in all of this. And it's been going on for a very long time. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Even Aaliyah was another emancipated minor at 15 who was given to R. Kelly in marriage by her parents for her career, for her to get a leg up. And she was hanging around Diddy during that time as well. Like her, Diddy, R. Kelly and Jay-Z were like orbiting her, and she was a fucking little girl. She was a fucking little girl, and they were like orbiting her. It was very fucking creepy. Weird.
Very creepy.
So fucking weird.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be like less high profile kind of people, so they'll like actually release the P Diddy list, unlike the Epstein list.
Yeah.
And it will be like satiate the masses, release the Diddy list.
But even then, I think it's I think we're gonna see a lot more than we bargained for. My prediction is we're going to see a lot more than we bargained for. And what we see is not just in terms of Diddy, but just in terms of like general shit getting unveiled. Because like that's one of the themes of the whole Age of Aquarius thing. And I can definitely see that shit happening right now. And I feel like we're not ready to see a lot of what we're going to see in the coming years.
I feel like they sang that
song not prepared.
Too early.
That was the dawning of the Age of Aquarius.
Right.
Now we're like shifting into full
took like
fucking
50 years.
Yeah,
and now
Aeonic
it's like
cycles,
actually the Age of Aquarius.
Aeonic cycles are like a process, dude. The last one took fucking 2,000 years.
I know, but now if you sing a song about the Age of Aquarius, it's like done, isn't it? Everyone immediately is like, dude, it's not as good as that one. That's a banger. It's a classic. You can't sing another one about.
I think we should try. I think we should make that our assignment. We should try and make another Age of Aquarius song.
Maybe
for this time period.
We can try, but as I said, I feel like it's just immediately gonna get compared.
Nah. I think we can do it. Greg Harrison says Diddy disclosure. Yeah, I think that the Diddy disclosure is only the tip of the disclosure iceberg. I think a lot more shit is going to emerge in the coming years, and it's gonna be shit that's gonna like rock our world, and it's shit that's like we're not prepared for. Like I really hate cheesy Netflix tell-all documentaries, but I was really curious about Quiet on the Set. It's not on Netflix. I watched it on the
Internet.
the seas. But yeah, basically, yeah, I'm not like a fan of that type of true crime blah 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 content, but I was curious because I was like, I outgrew it obviously, but I do realize that the amount that Disney Channel and Nickelodeon had on my childhood, and I was curious to see, you know, what had been confirmed about the whisperings of perversion behind the scenes. And it made me feel ill, in all honesty. Like, made me feel pretty sick.
Yeah.
To have been privy to that information. So I can't imagine how much more horrible we're gonna feel as more surfaces. Especially, imagine if Usher speaks out. Right now, it's still speculation, and people being like, "Hey, it's sus that
Well, if
you
there's
had."
like court trials and stuff, I'm sure there'll be like major parties that would be brought to trial.
But he seems
and
loyal
to testify and stuff.
He
right?
seems pretty loyal to that clan. So obviously, it's speculation. What if Justin Bieber speaks out? What will that imply?
Yeah.
How will the moral conscience of the collective unconscious reckon with having to deal with the weight of that knowledge? You know? What if other child stars? I mean, even the Drew Barrymore shit. People talk about her story like it's this pedestrian. Oh, she was just like a BPD hoe. No, she was getting drunk and partying with adults at the age of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And she just went on Oprah with her mom, and her mom was just like, yeah, I was like a party mom and like whatever. And it just kind of she should have been in jail she should have been put in jail for child negligence and endangerment.
I don't know. It's kind of like
it's literally insane.
It was like the 60s, I guess, wasn't it?
It wasn't the 60s.
Like
Drew Barrymore, it was the 80s. Because she was in E.T. as a little kid, and that was when,
I thought she was a bit older than that, to be fair.
No. Drew Barrymore's not that old. But she's a Gen Xer.
Still good looking.
Thank you.
Even if
Thank you, Jake, for that insight.
I thought she was 10 years older than she is. I still thought she was good looking.
We know she's a MILF. We know you would. Thank you for that insight. But yeah, she as a child, she was partying and doing drugs at like 13 and
crazy times.
And earlier and stuff, and that was like, normal. So it's like a motif, it's like a pattern, and like her mom again was a woman who aspired to be an actress and didn't quite make it and pushed her daughter into,
Wasn't her granddad like super famous or something?
Yeah, the Barrymore family had a lot of actors, but her mom didn't
do so well.
Yeah, didn't end up in that lineage.
Fair enough.
Then her daughter, she still was sort of this weird Hollywood socialite who sort of was like in the scene in that sort of way. But like, obviously, once her daughter came along, she saw that as an opportunity to like, relaunch the Barrymore name. And she was it's child abuse. Just say what it is. If you're letting your kid be in that kind of environment, you're abusing them. And it's just kind of like something that she talks about it and talks about her painful past, but it's kind of glossed over that her mom really was abusive, like seriously abusive.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But I recommend watching Quiet on the Set if you're curious about what went on behind the scenes. And yeah, I'm also interested to see what else unfolds in the coming years, months, whatever, surrounding the corruption lingering beneath the surface of society. But yeah, moving on to our next topic.
Sora.
Yeah.
Do you wanna check out some vids?
Yeah.
Check out some vids. Let's hopefully it's still working. Yeah. All right, here we go.
In the early.
Let me skip
That's the
through.
wrong. This is the Quiet on the Set,
sorry.
yeah.
Oh, we
Wrong
don't need
trailer.
to see it anymore because we just talked about that.
Do you know what the number one biggest mistake all over the world is in presentation and presentation skills? It's that
only work per profile, so I have to install the extensions for the fucking Mystic
Oh,
profiles.
that sucks.
Okay, so
Okay, feedback and comments. Feedback and comments. Interesting. All of that was made with like one person typing text into a bit of software.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Also, if you're going to make something so fucking abstract, why wouldn't, and it's called the golden record, why wouldn't you have like more than stock music? That seems like a weird choice
What
to
you
me.
think he should have hired, like, I don't know, Boris Blanc to fucking...
Well, yeah, to be honest, if you're gonna have like
Oh my
this
God.
weird abstract stuff
Oh
with
my
like
God.
going through meteors and fucking exploding into
God.
gold and then a record coming out at the end of it, like why the hell wouldn't you have like the most compelling fucking thing
Get
ever,
Aphex Twin.
sound to go along with that, to like actually solidify or give it some kind of context and reason? Because otherwise it's just like a bunch of like weird imagery that then like
But that
comes
seems
together
to be
a
a
little
lot
bit
of
at the end.
that seems to be a lot of what is emerging from both text to image and text to video, things that seem more like hallucinations than approximations of reality.
Yeah.
And what it's trying to sell itself on is its realism. And not to say that it doesn't have realism. Sure, there's an element of realism to it, but when you look at the images like in detail, they become uncanny pretty fucking quickly. And you see the errors in the reality that it's trying to. It's like a dream. It's like a nightmarish dream, surreal fucking Bosch painting.
It kind of to me feels a little bit like modular synthesizers to me. And
Explain.
this is someone that, you know, produces a lot of electronic music.
Yeah.
Okay, is that like, and please hold your pitchforks, all my modular bros in the chat. But like,
Do we have
fucking-
sound, by the way?
We should have sound. Yeah, mics are still going. We should be good.
Someone said mic level. Oh, sorry.
Micah Levi should have done the soundtrack. I don't know who that is. I need to have a look at that. Who that is. But yeah, like all the people that I know that get heavily into modular synthesis, like it's not really about composing something structured and like
Making an actual song.
Not even a song, but a piece of music,
Yeah.
which is structured noise. That is like the definition of it, right? And I guess like to some very abstract definition of that, yes, a lot of the modular bleep bloop stuff is structured noise, but it is not a coherent piece of music. It's not structured enough. It's not got motifs, melodies, repeatable, whatever. It's always very random or caustic or, you know, something generative or something like that, right? And I get the same sort of feeling with a lot of, or almost all of the video examples I've seen of AI so far as well, is that it's sort of like, oh, it can do this thing and I can fucking do this and that. And you're like, okay, but can you give me a structured something that's like actually
story,
sort of
rather than these weird hallucinations?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like you said, the modular synth boys are not really like guys that want to make music a lot of the time. They're guys that want to make bleep bloops. And I feel like Sora is not really meant to tell stories. It's meant to create images, vibes, aesthetics, because it's just kind of, I think it's good. It would be a tool for advertisement. I don't think it's necessarily a tool for storytelling, because the amount of nuance that you would need in order to make something viable as a narrative isn't like really possible in this medium. I don't think, at least not yet.
I totally disagree. I think that it will be totally possible, but it's that the
I don't think so.
the creatives that have had this stuff put into their hands so far are not people that are capable of telling a story in that same way. Like the next one we're about to watch is the more praised video out of the bunch of them, which is kind of supposed to be this sort of artsy short film. And I think this is a perfect example of what I mean about or in all cases actually.
Well, they say everyone has something unique about them, something that sets them apart. It's just in my case, you know, it's quite obvious what that thing is. I am literally filled with hot air. Yeah, living like this has its challenges. Windy days, for one, are particularly troublesome. Or there was a one time my girlfriend insisted I go to the cactus store to get my Uncle Jerry a wedding present. Ugh. What do I love most about my predicament? With the perspective it gives me, I get to see the world differently. I float above the mundane and the ordinary. I see things a different way from everyone else. Yeah, and I feel like it's because of that perspective I'm reminded every day that life is fragile. We're all just a pinprick away from deflation. So I try to live life with a lightness, a buoyancy, a joie de vivre. I got a lot of ideas keeping this thing full. With any luck, I'll find a way to share them with everyone else.
Well, like I said, it looks like an advertisement.
That was made by an ad director.
Okay.
That's
Well, that's
why.
what I'm saying is it's sort of, it's capable of, the software is capable of showcasing interesting and striking imagery, conveying very basic narrative, and that is good for advertisement. But in terms of building a larger narrative, it's going to be very difficult to do it at this stage where it's really only capturing like a sort of dreamlike shadow of reality.
Well, no, it is able to take, like, there are some variations within the balloon and its shape and where its
But you
toggle
can
was and
still
all those
tell there's
things were.
still uncanny
But
elements, like the background. I was more paying attention this
as,
time to the background and
As being able to say, this is the character, make the character do this. You can do that. And so it really is only really down to you, the characters you choose, how you want to use them, that really defines all of that other stuff. And the people that have had access to this stuff at the moment are not trying, or I don't know if it's that they're not trying, or maybe they were even asked to specifically not try to make anything kind of too short, really short film-esque.
well, that's the thing, is it's advertised
to not fucking spook people,
but it's
to not
advertised
spook fucking movie people and speak
well, no,
fucking
definitely
whatever the
not.
fuck, right? Like,
It's number one, it's advertised as a short film, whereas it watches more like an advertisement, and it's directed by an ad executive, which I think is pretty telling. And secondly, you don't see a human face. And of course you can say that that's like a device of the,
technology limitations and everything else.
But
It's
no,
kind of
the thing
smart
is,
in a way.
the reason why I'm saying is that like a human face, like being able to capture performances, that's still uncanny. It's still unable to do any of those things really convincingly, which is why I think it's like at the stage where it's only really usable as like a tool for advertisement. Or to make sort of those sorts of things.
Yeah, or like creative music videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you like Chris Cunningham beat you all by 20 years, but you could now actually try to do something without the nuts. No one even knows how the fuck he did that shit still to this day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Here we go. Next video.
It's really disturbing. It's just like nonsense hallucination. It's cool because I'm like stoned right now, but like fuck. Maybe we should like do shrooms and like get Sora. Is it publicly available yet?
No, it's still in the hands of like a few people that they've chosen, basically.
You still have shrooms in your Hunter S. Thompson box.
I do.
So maybe we should like experiment with
This AI tool will take your
Shrooms
idea
and
and
AI
create a
tools.
complete book, complete with design, image.
Oh, this was the one made by an ad guy. Maybe I mislabeled it. My bad. Yeah, this one was.
All
the
right,
ad
and
guy.
another one.
Sorry, my bad. Oh yeah, this one was weird as well.
I do love mermaids.
So really cool though.
fuck's
People
sake,
are
I
wearing
love
clothes
crazy.
made out of stained glass. So really cool though. People
So that's very nuts. Like that is like
Yeah.
those faces don't look wrong. The hands don't look wrong.
Yeah.
You could never like put someone underwater and then
Yeah.
replicate the physics of that. That's
No.
like a really great example of like a way that you would use creative technology to break the limits of physical filmmaking.
You could put someone underwater like that.
Yeah, but the
It looks
cost
like- it
and
looks
all
like
the
a-
cost and all of
well,
that
that they
other
do,
stuff,
like,
right,
with
is
the- like, it
crazy.
looks like it could
Avatar
be-
and stuff like that. Yeah, but
Well, like even magazines, like it looks like it could be a Vogue shoot for some fucking editorial, like for some fashion designer. And it's interesting that this will definitely put those people out of fucking work. Like there's no need now to get a tank and to hire fucking crazy photographers and to
that's the thing, because it's not just the people like the actors and the photographers and stuff. It's then also like you don't need the photography equipment.
yeah.
You don't need the
Yeah.
hardware.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
like so much of the stuff now
Yeah.
will become totally separate.
Yeah.
And like I can really see like I don't know, filmmaking changing in a big way once this becomes sort of in regular toolkits that everybody has access to. It would be really crazy to see what people come up with.
Yeah, definitely.
This next one I think is a really good example of that.
Episode 1 unveils the giraffe flamingo, a stunning hybrid that roams the savannah with
That's
grace
nuts.
and vibrant hues. In episode 2, we ascend with the
That looks
flying
like
pigs,
real.
charming creatures that redefine the skies with their harmonious splendor.
Jiggly pig tits.
Episode 3 plunges us into the
That
depths
looks
to
pretty
discover the
decent.
whale puss, an elegant blend of whale and octopus ruling the ocean's abyss. Episode 4 introduces us to the eel cat, an aquatic enigma that combines the sleekness of an eel with curiosity
That is so demonic. That's gonna haunt my nightmares.
of a cat. Episode 5 presents the bunny
What the
armadillo,
fuck?
a delightful mix of fun
It's like demonic chimera fucking
and charm
generator.
and armadillo protection,
Oh my
captivating
God.
our hearts. Episode 6 features the horsefly,
That looks
a
gay.
small yet noble creature that buzzes with a blend of horse-like dignity and fly-like agility. Episode 7 explores the reptilian aru, a creature that leaps across the desert with the vigor of a kangaroo and the resilience of a reptile. Our adventure culminates in Episode 8 with the fox crow, a fusion of fox cunning and crow freedom soaring through the forest enigma.
Oh my god.
Join us on this mesmerizing
Dude,
journey
I don't
through
wanna see
beyond
Eel
our
Cat ever
reality, a
again
journey through
in my
parallel
life.
worlds,
I
and the
didn't need to
marvels
see that. That's pretty cool though. It's quite frightening.
So I don't think Sora is going to be released this year. I can't wait to play around with it though. But
This is the kind of shit you would do with it. It's like make like
So here's
Miami
the prompt.
Vice fucking
Not even, dude. I would like make.
cyberpunk car videos.
I'd
or
make like
whatever.
JDM street racing fucking videos, big time. It'd be so fucking cool.
Oh my god.
That's what I mean. It used to be like I've experimented with generative video AI, which is sort of more akin to frame by frame pictures and animation, and so it looks very strange and like things just appear and disappear and things morph into another thing, and that's like kind of its own style in a way, but it very much looks like AI and is indistinguishable or whatever. This is now at the point where you have a painting, you're moving completely through the frame. The painting is the same painting. It is not shifting or changing or doing anything. It is like having spatial memory of what those things were and how they would move in represented space.
Wow.
It's like completely gone like through the roof over the
Wow.
last year.
Wow.
I think it was about a year since I was using it. Was Kyber AI. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I used it for my last ambient album, and for one of the tracks on that for a video, and it looks very cool. And I got it with a Mobius style and everything. It looked fucking great. It looked really interesting. But like this looks like a video.
Yeah, true. Well, like in all honesty, it's gotten so good that like now, if you were at one of Diddy's parties, you can just say, "I'm not gay. It was Sora."
Well, but no, but that's the thing. You can't, because you can't do any public people. You can't do any sexual.
I'm sure
imagery.
I'm sure that like there'll be just in the same way there are people who've sort of reverse engineered the image to the text to image AI
Let me put it this way.
softwares in order to make pornographic images of public figures. They'll do the same thing with the video version.
Let me put it to you this way. Like you like Photoshop and you like Premiere Pro. You like Adobe, don't you?
Yeah.
When I try to make you use Resolve so I can save money every month, you complain that you don't know Resolve, and all these other free ones that I find you don't like because you don't know them. So you have to use Adobe, right? And Adobe has all these awesome features in it and stuff. Yeah.
Cool AI.
And it's seamless
new
and
AI
really
ones
easy
as well.
to use and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you know, when I was trying to use that GIMP software that was like a replacement for Photoshop, an open source version of Photoshop.
Oh yeah.
I did a lot of cool stuff in it. It works. It's totally fine. It works. It like absolutely doesn't have all the bells and whistles of Photoshop, but it has all the raw basic things that you would want and need on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it absolutely is fine for most decent fucking jobs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It will be the same with any other kind of open source version of AI stuff that you get.
There'd be too many glitches and
It's
like,
not glitches, but it's like, oh, you download it on GitHub and then run it on this thing, compile the thing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very like bootstrap, do it yourself. And if you are of a certain technical capability, you might be able to figure something like that out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, you probably
Dude,
won't
there
really
are
have
people
much
on the
of a
internet
hope in
that
hell.
have like no lives and the fucking is what they do for a fucking hobby.
No, they enjoy watching content about it. Very few people, like, I think, get fascinated in that way and then actually start doing things.
I don't know.
If I'm honest,
I don't know.
maybe that's my pessimistic view on a lot of people these days.
No, I think
I
you
sound
might
like
be
a real old
pessimist.
man.
I
People
think
these
you-
days, but that does feel like what it is to me. Like
I
a lot of
think you
people
might
are like much more happy. Like, it was like what's it what we talked about the other day with Formscapes. Like people like watching science content
Mm-hmm.
because that makes them feel like
Smart.
they're learning.
Yeah.
It gives the illusion of learning.
Yeah.
Whereas they are like consuming content and
yeah.
entertainment, things that are meant to be entertaining.
And to siphon your
Right?
time and attention. Yeah.
So it's like, I think that is very much in a similar way like that. Like I'm fascinated by AI, and I like, I don't spend hours watching videos about it, but I certainly like try to check out new tools that are available and stuff like that, whether it's for music production or for video stuff or whatever, because I'm a creative person and I've got limited fucking resources, but I've got a good computer and I've got, you know, good technical knowledge, and I'm sure I could figure some shit out. So hey, let me see what I can try and cook up together. And that's kind of what I've done with my new stream that I'll just plug now real quick, I guess. I'm doing like a music stream, like a radio show type vibe thing on Thursday nights. On my Palmer Eldritch channel, which I'll pop in the
Do you want to
description
show them
here.
your mask?
I can show you my mask. I've got this for the third episode.
Do you want to
This
show
is
them
gonna
your
look
Jake?
badass.
Jake has gone full on into the machine.
I have making
full on-
cyberpunk music.
He's about to put on the GIMP mask.
Look at this bad boy.
This is the first layer. It's kind of turning me on a little bit.
It's turning you
Yeah.
on a little bit. Oh my god.
Just a little
You're
bit.
gonna get all P Diddy on.
Maybe. I might just grab a fistful and threaten your life.
Now, unfortunately, the app to change the lights is on
Your phone.
my phone.
And we're using
we
your
are
phone.
using that as my...
I was gonna write because you can
Camera.
write messages on it with the eyes, and I was gonna write something mean, but here we are, the machine. It literally is Mystic and the Machine. Like our desks are side by side, and his desk is this like weird cyberpunk, like fucking contraption,
Yeah.
and mine is literally like a wizard desk with like a fucking crystal ball and like vines and plants and like a fake stained glass window and stuff.
So I'm going to be wearing this crazy fucking helmet and doing like a live performance of some electronic music that I've cooked up in the week, and then I'm going to be blasting a whole bunch of tracks that are like related or sort of have inspired me, to make that type or genre of music. And then playing a bunch of tracks that, talented friends and folks send in to me to showcase and stuff. And so, yeah, if you're a producer and you're someone that also makes music, then send me a track. And if I think it's any good, then I'll play it on the show. If I don't think it's any good, then I'll honestly just tell you. Because I'm kind of past the charitable point of just playing everybody's music. I feel like I've got a good ear and I've probably got valuable feedback for people, so I'm not going to just like gas you up for nothing.
All right, take off the gimp mask now.
There we
Take it
go.
off. Get rid of the gimp mask. Put it away. But yeah, moving on to our last topic for the evening.
That was our last topic.
No, Candice Owens is our last topic.
Oh, right.
Which I thought was interesting this week. There's been like a huge sort of controversy with Candice Owens leaving.
That looks so funny like this. This is a vibe, mate. I should get the mustache back.
No, dude.
I think this has inspired a new change. I think the
You think you're
mustache
gonna
needs
become
to
a
come back.
mustache man now? Oh
You don't
God.
think the mustache is strapping? Just the mustache?
I think you like the Pringles man.
I think just the mustache is absolutely a vibe.
No, I like the Jesus vibe better. Keep the Jesus vibe. What was I saying? Yeah. So the Candice Owens thing with the Daily Wire, is that what they're called? Daily Wire? Yeah. So basically there's been tension rising among conservatives on the whole like Israel-Palestine question, because obviously you have a major constituency of like Zionist types and then people who are like America first types who aren't really interested in like the affairs of the Middle East and don't support the aims of Israel. And
Oh, now they're not interested in the Middle East.
well, I don't know, man.
They all
It's
probably
just-
fucking supported Iraq War, supported Afghanistan, supported Syria.
I think Candice is around our age.
But this one, like, they're like, oh no, we don't want to spend any money on this one.
I think that Candice is around our age. So I
No,
don't know.
she's older than that.
No, she's our age, I think. She's like in her 30s, at least, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But she's been sort of having a steady meteoric rise in the conservative media space for many years. Sorry, Jake is like blowing his nose and being gross. Die quietly. Gross.
I've been good all episodes. I've not been
Now you're gonna like explode all the snot
I'll
everywhere.
make some dad noises now.
Gross. Anyway, yeah, so she's been sort of a steady rising star. Are you Googling her age?
Yeah, I am.
That's very rude of you. She's a lady.
Is it correct on Wikipedia's 1989, 34? Yeah, she's older than us. See?
Yeah, she's by 4 years.
Yeah,
she's
half a
4 years
decade.
older. 4 years is not really half a decade.
It's close to 5, which is
If
half
you
a
put
decade.
it that way, then it sounds like such a a huge age gap.
Well, yeah, it's a university degree.
All right, whatever. She's older than us. She's older
Just
than
saying,
us.
it's like a good. If you were put in prison for 4 years, would you be like, oh, that's nothing, or would you be like, oh my god, that's 4 years of my life?
All right.
You know, it's kinda a long
whatever.
time.
She's older than us. But yeah, she's been sort of a steady rising star in like the conservative space for a while, and things that were really chummy between her and Ben Shapiro and the Turning Points USA people for a really long time, until the war in Israel and Palestine broke out. And that seems to have like become a fracture in the conservative space, because you have, like I said, conservatives who are Zionists and ones who are anti-Zionist, and who are like America first. So now she's been fired from the Daily Wire. When I told you this news, you said that we should role play as Candice Owens and Ben Shapiro.
I thought that might get you hot in the bedroom.
Maybe. Maybe.
Like
It just might. I'm just that sick in the head.
If I like choked you a little bit and called you a dirty
And fired
anti-Semite,
me.
yeah, and said you're fired.
Maybe it might. It just might work. But yeah, she is now fired and is going independent. She's also been going around on all these black shows.
Hmm.
Like
She gone on Club Shay Shay.
I think she's close to.
She's due an appearance
she's
on
due
Club
an appearance
Shay
on
Shay.
Club Shay Shay. She's been going on like
Club Shay Shay is like the new Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Well, she did go on the Breakfast Club, and she's sort of been courting black media now. I mean, like, I was always down type of energy.
Wasn't she really not down? Wasn't she like one of the people on Fox News that was sort of really slating black people a lot?
Well, no,
and being,
that's the
like,
thing is a lot
quite harsh.
of her critiques of Black America are spot on.
Mm.
So I don't disagree with her in that regard, but at the same time,
Wasn't she a little bit like Bill Cosby, like pull your pants up a little bit?
Wait,
Wasn't she
let
a
me
little bit
finish.
like
Let me finish. But at the same time, she's like bought, paid for, and funded by all these like weird, shady, conservative outlets. And at the end of the day, that's her end goal, is to promote those people's political agendas and interests, which are things like big business.
Because they paid her.
Yeah, because they fucking paid her. So her critiques of Black America are like sensational and they get attention, but they're not necessarily coming from a place of like actual improvement and like empowerment in a lot of ways. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't agree with some of her observations about things. And even in this whole Ben Shapiro kerfuffle, two things can be simultaneously true. It can be true that Zionists suck. It's also true that there are some elements of like the anti-Zionist constituency that do genuinely harbor anti-Semitic views. Like there are two things can be true at once. Like, but in this case, it's sort of ridiculous considering the fact that, you know, they claim to be pro-free speech and, you know, for conservative coalition building, and they just fired someone for their speech. And then especially on the Israel question, like I've seen so many people who are traditionally very critical of things like critical race theory, of, you know, sort of racial grievance, do a complete 180 when it comes to Israel and like basically sound like critical race theorists and racial grievance mongers when they're talking about it. And also people who are notoriously free speech on the right, like sort of like totally betraying that on this specific subject. It's just like a huge clusterfuck, but I think it's a good thing at the same time, because lots of people were getting chummy with each other who had nothing in common other than their hatred for specific groups. It's just like a clusterfuck, like a total clusterfuck.
Well, and this has like broken them up now.
Yeah, it's broken them up. There's like a hissy fit now. And now she's like, oh, I'm this like edgy, dissident, independent figure.
She's just going and work with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, that's who I think is her best bet. I think that's where she could probably, and Tucker's been successful in terms of his being
They're
independent.
kind of similar figures in that way.
They're similar figures, yeah. But even then, it's sort of like
funny, like quite controversial, kind of on purpose.
I don't think she's funny at all. I think Tucker is funny for sure.
Tucker's funnier than her, but like
She's not funny.
I've seen a couple moments where she's been funny.
I could say that I don't know. I don't know. It's like one of those things that upsets me, because like she's sort of like the type of media figure that is the type of black media figure that's like acceptable if you're not a leftist, quote unquote. If you don't necessarily identify with the left or you're critical of the left, the only other alternative option is Candice Owens, is like this extreme Turning Points USA funded fucking weird Koch brothers blah blah blah. And it's like, if you're not that, you're almost illegible to the public.
Yeah.
Like, people can't read anything but the extremes.
She did have that goofy moment on Rogan a few years ago where she said she didn't believe in science or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, you know, she's not great.
I remember
like, she
that.
definitely is like super, I don't know, maybe she's chilled out a little bit more now, because that was like, I feel like that was like 6 years ago at least or something like that, which means she would have been fucking 28 on Rogan, which is like fair play, mate. That's pretty baller. That's pretty cool. But then to fucking goof and be like, I don't believe in science on the biggest podcast in the world.
But it's like it's like the sensationalism, the lack of nuance.
Yeah.
This is precisely what is legible to the public. So if you're like a black person with nuanced critiques, it's like, who wants to TLDR, as the kids say.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's going to say, I don't believe in science, Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say these like crazy sensational things, and that's interesting or whatever. But like at the same time, there's obviously a lot of hypocrisy in these like conservative spaces. But at the same time, there's a lot of hypocrisy within the way that Zionism is sort of rearing its head in these conservative spaces, in a way that totally undermines the sort of cultural capital that conservatives have built around being the quote unquote pro-freedom constituency. They managed to sort of steal that. Well, not steal it. The left actually kind of willingly handed the sort of association of freedom away to conservatives. The left freely handed it to conservatives, but now conservatives are now kind of like chucking it back. It's the whole like enantiodromia thing, swinging back and forth, that like pendulum, and people being possessed by that pendulum. And I don't understand how it's not like exhausting for them, and how they can't get off of it. Like, doesn't it drive you crazy?
Anyone participating in culture war shit, I don't know how they stay sane.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
they
if
don't.
that's,
They
like-
don't. That's the point. They're like possessed. They're like
Yeah.
totally possessed. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's the only way you can actually kind of make it through the day.
Yeah.
Is like the energy and will that your possession like gives you, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
know.
much. They're possessed by like unconscious forces. So like it's literally food for them.
Oh.
It's sad. It's really
Sad.
fucking sad. But
Sick Sad World. Next week on Sick Sad World.
look at the chat. Let's have a look at the chat before we round out for the evening.
Someone mentioned Three Body Problem.
Oh yeah, Three Body Problem.
It shows somebody reading it in the background of Samuel Delaney's Dal Green on here. No, I have not. I don't know who that is, and I've not seen that book, but it's interesting that's in the back of the Netflix Three Body program. I did completely fucking binge that and watched it all in 2 sittings because obviously I've been like reading the books for the last 2 years, and it was in English. So I was going to watch it straight away. I am going to watch the 10-cent one on YouTube this week because I've been meaning to do that for ages. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. We can do a whole other, that'll be like a whole other.
I want to try and
next
get
we'll,
Quinn
we'll,
back
we'll,
on.
We'll chat about it. Yeah, we'll chat about it with Quinn or something.
I want to try and get Quinn back on to talk about Three
I
Body
do.
Problem.
I do want to talk about it. I think it was very interesting.
There's a lot to unpick there.
Yeah. It's just.
It's not.
huge.
I didn't think it was very good. I didn't think the show's very good. Jake likes
The
it.
show's good. The show was good. You think you need to give it a bit
didn't
more of a
think
chance? I think you gave it a little shut up a little bit too quickly there. I think it's worth a watch.
But there's still a
Absolutely
lot
worth a watch.
to talk about in terms of the zeitgeist surrounding Three Body Problem and also Alien Disclosure as well.
Greg,
Jake has
you're
some
halfway
interesting
through.
views.
Greg says he's halfway through the Chinese adaptation now. It's consuming my brain like when I read the books. Okay, brilliant. Because the show definitely doesn't really. The Netflix show definitely, I feel like, didn't consume my brain in the same way that the books did. I feel we'll do Three Body as a whole separate thing. Definitely. What's it talking about? Candice Owens, J. George. She isn't pro Hamas or pro one state solution or anything. I mean, what is she pro?
I don't
pro
even
then?
know.
That doesn't really make
I don't even know, but people make their alliances based upon the current thing, which is what I'm realizing. And whenever the current thing changes, the alliances like start shifting and crumbling, and it's mental illness. It's literally possession, and it's fucking mental illness.
I think everyone should chill out and play some Baldur's Gate.
Like, I don't get how everyone's not like fucking tired and like just disgusted by it.
She's pro everyone chilling out and playing some Baldur's Gate. Then I'm pro Candice Owens. That's how it works. That's how it works.
I was shocked to see her go on Joe Budden. Yeah, Joe Budden. That whole thing is really bizarre. He was like a rapper who had like one song, but he acts like he's the most important like person in the world.
Probably one more hit song than most people have. In all fairness.
Sorry, I should know my place as
So,
like a non-hit
you know,
song maker.
Exactly.
I've spoken out of turn.
Peasant. Come on.
Do you want to show everyone your
No, there's no need to show anyone anything.
All right,
you silly.
never mind.
Thank you.
Never mind.
You're very sweet. Bay's Daria reference. Daria's great. I feel like the Zoomers and people should Daria should make a comeback. Not make a comeback like they should make it again, but like it should come back. Like people should start referencing it more, and it should be more of a bigger cultural thing than
I think
it is.
that I should be diversity hired
What
to
is
play
Jake's
Daria.
new channel
I
/ show
volunteer.
/ link again? The show, the channel is called Palmer Eldritch after the new artist alias name, but the show is called Nexus FM Sonics from the Edge, which I thought sounded fucking jokes. So
It's just him edging on stream to drum
just
and
me
bass.
edging. It's just me edging to liquid drum and bass. Exactly.
For an hour. So if you
Um,
want to edge along with him.
She's pro ceasefire. That sounds like pro chilling out and playing Baldur's Gate to me.
Hang on.
That's exactly that's.
It's factional, not great, but yes, but disclosure memes. Sora makes kids.
You got to read it out with your
Sorry.
words instead of mumbling it on
Sorry,
the stream
sorry.
because everyone else is watching
I'm like,
you.
it's because I'm stoned and I
just, like,
forget that I'm
mumbling
like
along.
being watched sometimes. I'm just like, oh. But yeah, it's yeah.
I will check out this Delaney with this other sci-fi thing because I'm sure that nothing's by mistake and it could be an interesting other book. If anybody knows of any other Chinese books
that are good, yeah.
not that are good, because I'm sure there are lots of Chinese books that are good. But
but
I
in
think
terms of Chinese sci-fi, that's like
not even just
decent.
sci-fi. I think that the fact that this does actually come from a very Chinese perspective and goes into a lot of the tricky things with China's history and communist revolution and like all of that stuff, and the sort of effect that psychologically and all of that stuff is the fucking core of that fucking series and why it's so fucking interesting to me as a non-Chinese person. So like I don't know any other fucking Chinese works of literature that would be so brutally open about that sort of thing. From what everything I've ever heard about it, it was seemingly like a very policed information-wise with what people are allowed to write and how they're allowed to depict Chinese history, all sorts of
the
things.
CCP at
So
the beginning.
it
which is,
really
weird.
I'm like super curious as to why this was
Let slide.
given a pass and was let through, and also if it's not just this one, then why haven't we heard about more amazing
And why has it
ones?
broken into the Western zeitgeist so intensely to the point where both Mark Zuckerberg and Obama have cited it as one of their favorite ever sci-fi?
Well, as a book,
books.
yeah, I would agree. It is one of my favorite ever sci-fi story fiction.
But I mean, I mean, it's reached that level of
books ever,
influence to the point where
definitely.
people like that are sort of citing it.
It is the Game of Thrones of sci-fi in lots of ways, in that it is this massively grand narrative that does have like Game of Thrones has all this history and context that reaches like hundreds of years, whereas like the story itself within Three Body Problem spans hundreds of years itself. So kind of you get all of that meat in that same kind of way that's just super fucking in depth. That's really good. And then I think Dan and Dave have done give him a shot. I think it could go even better after next season. I think it could go even better.
But even then, I think one of the interesting hypotheses you posed was that you think Three Body Problem might be Chinese disclosure, basically, or like soft Chinese disclosure.
I mean, I think there might be some interesting ideas in there that are a little bit more closer to sort of some amount of truth than we might be realizing, if I'm honest. Like I would be really interested to know why this has been treated so differently than other Chinese writers and literature and other stuff. And the sorts of things that it does deal with is very of its time. Not of its time, I guess, because it was actually written about 10 years ago or released 10 years ago. But now it's like all really coming to fruition, right?
Yeah.
So it is it's very, very curious. And I think like even just I think the idea of like the Fermi paradox and like, oh, why don't we see aliens and all this sort of thing, even just this sort of dark forest kind of idea and philosophy around sort of civilizations in space is enough to make people start actually kind of contemplating different ideas about stuff. It's not just like, oh, we don't see them because they don't exist, and then ta-da.
Speed of light.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, what if they don't? Because if anybody was even shown to have a mere inkling of life, they would just get fucking zapped because they'd be seen as a threat or some horrible dark fantasy,
Well,
which sounds terrible.
I don't
but,
agree. I don't agree with you and Quinn's appraisal of the quality of the show, but I do enjoy that Quinn is a schizo who believes in aliens. So it'd be really interesting to try and get him back on if he's not like super busy. I'm gonna like go harass him
Definitely.
to talk about Three Body Problem. That'd be really cool.
J. George says the most effed up thing I read so far was Naked Lunch. And yeah, bro, I didn't finish Naked Lunch. I got about a third or about half of the way through, and there was some sort of like pedophilic demon scene in like a fucking weird nightclub type place with lots of cocks, and I really couldn't read on anymore. It was honestly just like too much for me. I was going through a whole bunch of schizo writers at the time. Well, not schizo writers, but like alternative writers of that era, I guess. And William Burroughs is one that came up all the time from a lot of people that I respected a lot and always
Like
held
Robert
him
Anton Wilson.
and Timothy Leary and like all sorts of,
Yeah.
you know, that whole milieu basically. And so I was like, okay, well that's his biggest book. I'll give it a read. But I could not fucking stomach that one iota. Utterly disgusting. I don't recommend anybody read it.
Naked Lunch.
No.
I think you actually threw it away. You like took it off the bookshelf and like.
I'm not reading it again. Like, so, you know, do you want it? Like, no. I felt bad donating that to a charity shop. No one should like have to read that.
Are
if
you
I'm honest.
advocating for a book with burning and
No, but
censorship?
I'm just not gonna be one to read that. It's just so fucking gross, man. It's so
Does
grim.
it sound like it was written by P Diddy?
It sounds exactly what I think it actually originated as, which is basically that William S. Burroughs sort of hangs around Mayfair and all of these like places with top
Aristocrats.
London aristocrat elite people, and they basically kind of commissioned him to write like what was that one that you made a reference to before, the fucking Sade what's it?
Marquis de Sade.
Marquis de Sade, but like different or modern or something, basically, like with demons or something like that. Like make the most fucked up thing that you can think of,
Like 100 Days of Sodom or whatever.
Make the most fucked up thing you can think of, and then he did that on like this big heroin binge, and none of it made sense. And then what's his name? Alan fucking Ginsberg came and rescued him and like put all of the pages together in this like mangled way, and then William S. Burroughs ended up calling it the cut tape technique, which then became like a really artsy like thing where it's like, oh, like, the sentences from like this one page then come and meet this one from another one. It's like, yes, because he was strung out on heroin and a friend of his basically like put all the pages together and gave it to someone. And that's like why you end up with what you end up. It's not actually like it all got intellectualized and it became this whole fucking
I'm sure
thing,
there are people who
which is almost like the biggest.
I don't know. I've not read it.
It's
so
the
I
biggest
can't.
Discordian joke ever. This fucking cut tape thing. I almost guarantee you is exactly as like simplistic and stupid as how I just described it. And actually, this whole intellectualization of like cut tape words and painters were taking the piss out of writers, and this whole fucking story got painted. And it's bullshit, and it was all a way of painting a myth around the writing of William S. Burroughs.
What you're saying is that William S. Burroughs would have enjoyed P. Diddy's parties.
Yeah, he would have been. P. Diddy would have fucking enjoyed William S. Burroughs' parties, mate. It would not be the other way around.
And obviously,
well, no, actually, I don't know if he was really a fucking sexually depraved dude. If I'm totally honest, I think
he could definitely write sexually depraved content from the sounds of it.
He's been in the rooms by the sounds of things where a lot of bad things happen like that. Like, you know what I mean? If you're in those Mayfair clubs, mate.
And also
I didn't even want to think about that.
The Marquis de Sade is obviously the OG fucking. I mean, sadism is literally like.
Yeah.
You know.
It's gross. It's not good. Don't read it. So, you know, end of it.
Oh my god.
Burroughs would have whispered back. Yeah, there you go. he whispered back and like tried to grab Diddy's ass from behind him. He'd have like given her a reach around ass grab, like, pulled him in. Fucking not good.
Oh god,
not good.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for this one. We'll try and get Quinn on and like chat about Three Body, because I would love to do that whilst it's still fresh.
And Alien
and
Disclosure as well. That would be interesting to talk to him about and to see what his thoughts on it are.
Definitely, and I'll add my channel link on the old description for this once we're done.
We love you, but
So
we
you can
have
check
to
me out on
leave
Thursday
you.
with new jams and music and such.
Also, before we go, quick announcement. Discord, you can get access to it by joining us on Patreon. $2 gets you access to Discord. $5 gets you access to Discord and Patreon. Sorry, gets you access to Discord and access to our movie club. So this time around, we're going to be doing a movie club. We just finished reading the Bardo Thodol, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And I thought, like, as a refresher off the back of reading a heavy text, we should just watch some fucking movies.
Yeah.
And vote on some movies and just watch some
No
fucking
voting.
movies.
You're choosing a movie.
No,
I'm choosing a movie.
no.
You're choosing a movie.
Jake always
I'm
tries
choosing a movie.
Jake tries to usurp authority all the time. I think we should choose and like let people vote because it gives people incentive to come if they feel like they have a stake.
Okay.
So yes, we will be putting it up to a vote on what films we watch. But we want to watch esoteric films and things along those lines and discuss them basically. So movie club, if you want access to movie club, $5 gets you access to our Discord and to movie club. And then at the $10 tier, you get a tarot reading a month from me. So once a month, we get together in whatever form you like, and I will give you a tarot reading about any sort of thing that may be on your mind. And I design some pretty good spreads. I get deep down into the nitty gritty of whatever you bring to me. So yeah, definitely check that out if that's something you're interested in. And I've had my first few clients recently as well, which has been nice. And I have some scheduled for the coming weeks. So I'm like very excited to be working with people in this capacity. So if you're interested in that, $10 tier on our Patreon. Well, yeah, thank you very much, guys. And we shall catch you next week. Goodbye.